may contribute to employer branding. You may have an involved executive team, but who leads your employer brand strategy? Rob Cummings of DoiT says it's the employees. Learn from this victory story in our interview with Rob.
Hey there, I'm Krista Vance, entrepreneur and operations leader.
And I'm Matt Vance, award-winning author and social innovation researcher. We're your hosts of the Culture Profit Podcast.
Your place for purposeful company culture strategy.
Learn from HR pros, executives, and thought leaders how to prioritize profits by prioritizing people.
This episode is sponsored by Mobrium, the best friend of forward-thinking HR leaders, helping you strengthen your employer reputation as a reflection of your real culture.
Learn more at mobrium.com. Employer branding has emerged as a new business discipline and is here to stay. We've spoken before about employer branding, even a little bit in the last episode, but the topic is much larger than a 30-minute conversation. Today, you'll hear what successful employer branding looks like at a tech company and get actionable insights for upping your own game. Let's welcome Rob Cummings. Thank you for being with us.
Hey everyone, I'm super ecstatic to be here today. I'm really excited about the conversation we have in front of us, and I can't wait to kick it off.
Great. Yeah, we're excited to have you too. And our typical next thing is to hear more about Rob. So Rob Cummings is the global employer brand specialist at DoiT, wearing many hats, but no hats today. He collaborates with DoiT's globally diverse teams to help reach business goals by attracting the best talent possible. Rob is also a huge ice hockey fanatic who enjoys college hockey more than the NHL. He loves traveling and experiencing new foods and cultures, and is an outdoor enthusiast who enjoys hiking, kayaking, and more. Rob was also a CrossFit instructor for over 5 years and takes health and wellness seriously. Very cool. Can totally relate with loving the outdoors. So tell us about what is your favorite place you've ever traveled to as someone who likes to travel.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite country is by far Iceland. My wife and I have, over the past 4 years, been trying to hit every Scandinavian country.
Wow.
And just this past year, it kind of worked out really well where we were planning a trip for Denmark and Sweden, and then we actually got tickets to the Taylor Swift concert that was in Sweden.
Whoa!
Which was just unbelievable that they all just kind of like meshed up. But yeah, it's funny. So my first international trip was to Iceland, and I joke to my wife all the time. I'm like, you ruined every other trip for me because Iceland is so incredible. There's so much beauty. There's so much to do there. Not that other countries don't have those things. It's just it's beyond. It's like going to another world. So we love Iceland. It has a special place in both our hearts, and we try to get there as often as we can.
My parents have been there a couple times, and obviously since they've been more than once, it must be pretty amazing. And I've seen their pictures. It does look like an incredible place. Did you go hike the volcano? There's like a volcano there.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah.
We went to, it was an extinct volcano, so it's basically just this enormous crater now.
Okay.
But it's just like endless walking up, and you're just at this steep incline, and you feel like you're never going to get to the top. And when you finally do, it's breathtaking. It's just this enormous crater, so as far as you can see. And then the landscape behind it, you're so high up so you can see everything, and it literally just takes your breath away. It's such an incredible country, and the terrain there is so diverse, from your lava fields to the incredible mountains that you have, to open fields where you can see wild horses running, or there's tons of sheep farms. It's just, yeah, highly recommend.
Sounds amazing.
So everyone who's listening, go click the affiliate link that gives us a commission to go travel to Iceland. No,
Yeah.
no, we don't do things like that. That's authentic right there. That's the real deal of hearing how awesome Iceland is. That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that with us, Rob. So tell us a little bit more about DoiT, about the company that you're working at.
Yeah, absolutely. So in kind of my own words, I would say DoiT serves as your tech-friendly best friend for the cloud. We assist companies of all sizes in navigating the, intricate world of cloud computing, ensuring they fully utilize platforms like AWS and Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and some other platforms. But our focus is not solely on just utilizing the cloud, but it's also doing so in more intelligent manners. So we provide expert guidance, innovative tools, and assistance in optimizing cloud costs to ensure that you're not simply pouring money into tech, but also investing in effective solutions for your business. So with intelligent tech, unrivaled expertise, we help cloud-driven companies see, strengthen, and scale the cloud to drive their business growth.
That is impressive and definitely sophisticated tech that you guys have over there, and a lot of problem solving. I remember when we were speaking previously about this episode, and you talked about solving problems that companies have a difficult time solving in-house because you specialize in that area, which is really neat. So super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an
Go ahead.
no, yeah, it's an incredibly innovative, challenging, exciting space to be in, where we're at the forefront of a lot of new technology coming out, and like you said, the companies, partners, customers that we work with, they have some of the best cloud engineers in the world, and when they can't figure something out, they turn to us, which is a great feeling. It's humbling. It's why we do the work that we do. We love it so much. So
The best of the best. Yeah.
yeah.
It's really cool to be a part of a company like that. And you're in the employer branding space. So tell us what successful employer branding looks like.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's hard to answer truthfully because success can look like a lot of different things depending on what your strategy or your goals really are. But for me, there's a couple of highlights that I would point out where you want clear and authentic messaging. You want a strong online presence. So looking at your career page, the different job boards that you have, your social media. You want strong employee advocacy, which are testimonials from current and previous employees. You want testimonials from customers, um, definitely from candidates who go through your interview process. And um, something that we have been really proud of is our strong referral program. We love it when our doers, that's what we call our employees, doers, we love it when they bring us friends that they've worked with previously or people they met on LinkedIn or at other social events. They're top quality hires, and they're a really good source to bring into our company. And I'd also say, positive candidate journey. You definitely want awards and recognition, and a strong data-driven approach. So you want to make sure you're collecting feedback regularly and continuously trying to improve your processes or your strategy and execution.
I like that. Definitely feedback is something we believe in at Mobrium. It helps you see the strategy that is going to be most effective because your customers, in this case, your employees, are the ones who are living that experience, and they can help you see the top pros, top cons to change and to know what to protect in that experience. So, you're specializing in employer branding. A lot of companies don't have a role carved out exclusively or specifically for that. Who's involved in employer branding? I'm sure that you're collaborating with other team members as well.
Yeah, it's an age-old question that I've heard time and time again, even though this is a relatively new space. Where does employer branding sit? Does it matter where they sit, and who's responsible for it? For my own personal experience, I don't really think it matters where this team or individual or group sits. What matters is that they have a direct line of communication with the marketing department, communications internally, externally, and definitely within HR, more specifically talent acquisition, so that this function can fully understand what the business needs are to ensure your brand consistency. And we're going to talk a lot about consistency throughout, our conversation today. But I think going back into your earlier episodes with Matt Palmer, one thing that really resonated with me was he said, the brand is the brand. So what we don't want to do is start creating messaging or assets, visuals, whatever it is you're creating, and have that messaging be so far off from what marketing is already doing that you feel like a completely different company. Consistency is key within this space for so many things, especially in what's presented to your external audiences. And I know for myself, I like to deviate just a little bit, have some fun with our copy, responding to posts on LinkedIn or creating some fun things from our content that we wouldn't put on LinkedIn, but we would put it on Instagram, for example. We have International Dog Day coming up, and I want to see all the dog photos that I can. And I know there's a bunch of people on Instagram that want to see that as well, but might not want to see it on LinkedIn. So it's just kind of figuring where you can be a little bit more playful and engaging. And additionally, you definitely want to be dialed in with HR. I sit under talent acquisition, and I feel like that's a great place for me. We want to make sure that we're having those conversations about hiring needs, what's coming down the pipeline. I have access to monthly, quarterly data about inbound applications, candidate surveys, onboarding surveys, all that really good stuff that you want to understand what the business needs are, what your candidates are experiencing. And it just helps give you a more well-rounded picture of how to strategize and execute.
So you mentioned earlier, Matt, you quoted Matt Palmer, that your brand is your brand. So tell us about DoiT's brand and how you've entered and what you've done to improve that and advertise it and get the right candidates.
Yeah. It took us kind of a little while to figure out what the EVP really was. We want to always come across as that we're humble. We are strategic and take data-driven approaches, and we want to be readily available to our candidates, to our customers, to our partners, and we want to consistently show up for them. And remote work has had a really big impact on our ability to do that. And because we can cover so much more territory being a globally diverse remote company, I think it's strengthened a lot of our partnerships and relationships with candidates, with customers, and so forth. So we've definitely seen a little bit of an evolution, but we've been incredibly consistent, and I'm really proud to say that we have great candidate reviews. You can see that on our Glassdoor account. You can see our CSAT scores on our website. You can go to doit.com for that. Nice little plug there. But yeah, so we're really proud with the direction that we've been going in, and are really excited for the future.
Cool. I do have a side note question here. You mentioned that DoiT is a 100% remote company. How do you navigate hiring and bringing someone on, managing expectations around being remote, and making sure you get someone who can handle, or who truly actually wants and can thrive in that environment? I'm just a little curious about that.
So remote work has always been at the forefront of DoiT's philosophy. We were remote even before the pandemic started, which I think is really cool. We've seen companies kind of flip-flop between being remote to going hybrid to, hey, everyone needs to get back in the office 4 or 5 days a week. But being remote, we have put that in our messaging all over our career site. We have an entire landing page dedicated to remote work, why it's so important to us, why it's part of our recipe for success. And for candidates coming to our page, they can fully understand what it means to be remote at DoiT. And then they can hear from our doer testimonials on our website to see if that is something that they can fully integrate with. And if not, it's just an opportunity for them to learn and to move on to the next thing. So they're not wasting their time by applying and maybe figuring it out. And we're making sure that we are being as transparent as possible. And that's something that we try to do across career page, job boards, etc.
Managing those expectations really ensures that you get the right candidates coming to your door from the get-go.
Yeah, it's very impactful to have the level of transparency that we do. You know, I mentioned Glassdoor. We have tons of reviews on there. We have FAQs on our career page. We have these cool little videos on our career site from, you know, we have cloud engineers, we have HR, we have marketing, we have people from all over the globe talking about their experiences. And I think that's really compelling to hear from a candidate's perspective, because they get to learn and understand what the different experiences are of these people. They get to see certain things. It could be, you know, Matt did this video, it's on the career site. I get to see a little bit of myself in Matt and be like, oh, there's a genuine connection there. And, you know, we both like CrossFit or whatever it might be. You can see yourself slowly kind of integrating into that company and being a value add. Whereas a lot of times you're just kind of looking at this blank landing page and you're like, this kind of sounds cool, but I don't really know enough. I need more. So we try to give that without spoon feeding all of the information, so that they kind of have to dig deeper and go into the landing pages or click here to find a little bit more information. So we want people who are curious and want to do the research.
Not just applying the second they see a listing or something. They got to get in a little bit further and know if it's the right fit for them.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that strategy. And you mentioned Glassdoor, and when we talked previously, that you said that was one of the first things you did when you got into this role was to start trying to get reviews, and how getting that feedback and starting to build up that external facing platform was really useful in, I don't know, educating what you were going to do next.
Yeah. There were so many things I wanted to do when starting in this role at DoiT. And, you know, Glassdoor was such a good opportunity to kind of jumpstart a lot of that, to just get the wheels in motion. So I think when I came on board, we maybe had 50 or so reviews on there. There was some content with pictures and some stuff about our benefits, and it was kind of just enough for the time being. But then coming in there's a lot of opportunity to really build that out and deliver an experience. And I think that's what we've been able to do. We have over 260 something reviews right now, and our interview reviews are almost at 100, which I'm super proud of. So
yeah, that's
it's
amazing
just
progress.
Yeah, it's really great. And, you know, to see some of the feedback that's on there, positive, neutral, negative, like, we want all of it, because we want this to just be, like I said, a fully transparent place where people can learn about us. So yeah, it's been really impactful internally and externally.
And I think that was so useful for you, where you came from, you know, you're a new employee, so you don't already know exactly what the culture's like. So you were able to get that information from the reviews and have kind of that like clean slate look at everything. And you're right, the negative reviews, they are good because it helps you identify what your brand is not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that's something that a lot of companies, exec, senior leadership kind of struggle with. They all have this picture or idea of what their company culture is, or what their philosophy or mission is about. And then as you kind of see these reviews come in, that mind shift might start to change a little bit, and you start to question those things, which is good, because you don't want to be falsely advertising what you're about. And I think that just kind of helps build that EVP a little bit more.
I agree with that. And I think your commitment to asking everyone for feedback, that you want the positive, you want the neutral, you want the negative, it actually can help you get more authentic and real feedback too, because kind of that inauthentic quest for a better rating and trying to cherry pick, well, who's happy? Let's just go ask them because we just need a better number. It works to a certain level, but then it actually starts working against you when other people hear or see that that's kind of what's happening. And we've seen that that can solicit what we call a revenge review, where someone's like writing that all caps 1 star in spite of your approach because it feels inauthentic. It feels just like you're trying to put up this facade. And so when you have that real commitment that you actually want to hear what everyone has to say, oftentimes we see that it buys a little bit of added trust, a little bit of benefit of the doubt when something's not perfect, but the employee sees the company's trying, that there's a genuine effort being made and that you are listening, you're using that feedback, they see change happening, and it creates this virtuous cycle of positive momentum. So you talked about, trying to get the execs involved and helping them have a change in mindset. What do you tell the exec when they push back and they say, well, we don't need employer branding, like people apply for jobs, we don't need to do this?
Yeah, I kind of giggle a little bit and then just realize like this whole journey, it's more coming into it with a growth mindset. EV is today, it's not a nice to have function. It's still a pretty new role. We're seeing more and more companies and organizations come out with these kind of roles, whether it be department based or individual like me. But in today's incredibly competitive job market, it is definitely a must-have. So I say that because there are a couple of areas that I'd like to highlight here. So attracting top talent, I believe we mentioned this earlier, where candidates are coming to your career page and they see a JD and they apply. Like it'd be like, oh, this sounds cool, I might want to do this. Those days are gone. Like forget about those. Candidates, like we said, they want to know about your company. They want to know about your values. They want to see a clear path for growth and opportunity, and they want to know that you have a good culture. It's incredibly important for employee retention. High performing EB strategies are not just about hiring. It's about retaining your top performers. So when our doers feel proud to work for our company with a strong culture, reputation, we recognize and reward our team, and they're more likely to stay. We talk about cost efficiency. Investing in these strategies can actually save your company money. Strong EVs have been shown to lower hiring costs because it attracts more qualified top talent, reducing your time to hire and using other resources such as agencies or contractors to go out and do that sourcing for you. Just a couple more. Your company reputation. We know that employer brand directly influences your overall company reputation. If you think about literally purchasing anything, where's the first place you go after you see the price? You go to the reviews, just like Amazon or anything else. So candidates, they do the same thing. They want to know what it's like working there, and having a strong EB, if it's good, makes you more attractive to candidates and your potential customers. Many customers want to know who they could be working with before signing that contract. I know we have a lot of that. We have great customer testimonials that we advertise on LinkedIn and our career site. So that's really important. Employee advocacy is huge. When employees become your best advocates, so many great things happen. There's so much organic promotion that is so powerful, and it can help build your brand in ways that traditional marketing can't. And then the last point to wrap all this up is basically just future proof. The job market evolves at a rapid pace now. We've seen that post pandemic. More and more people are entering the workforce, younger generations that are a little bit more challenging to keep their eye attention or just keep their interest. So having a strong EB is a way for us to keep adapting to newer work models, appeal to those future generations, and just remain competitive within our spaces.
Yeah, we've seen that in our research as well, that, and I feel like this word fits this perfectly, but it insulates you. When you have a strong employer brand, it insulates you from anything that can happen in the future, even layoffs. It can really help the repercussions that can happen from that, and that's just, it is a part of business that happens sometimes. And so when you have a strong employer brand and you invest in that, it insulates you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I really like that word. I think I'm going to steal that for my next.
Well, we're still in from you. all of your points were so spot on. And anybody that's out there, and whether you're a marketing manager or maybe you are specifically in the employer branding space, this is going to be a great episode for you to watch and really get a feel of where to start, where to go next, and what view you need to have as you're diving into this space.
Definitely. And as we're kind of winding down closer to the end here, we got 2 more questions we'll squeeze in. So let's say you're talking to an HR manager who has very limited resources. They are aspiring to do employer branding, but there hasn't been a lot of that at their company. Like, where do they start? What do you tell that HR manager?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess the first thing that I would really say is don't take on too much. It's easy to get bogged down into everything that you can and want to do, but it's really just kind of understanding where the more significant impacts can be made. You can go on LinkedIn and join. There's a bunch of different employer branding groups and recruitment marketing groups on there that you can join and learn, ask questions. And there's a whole host of free tools out there available that you can use, like Canva. I love Canva. I use it every day. There's also other tools for project management or for content calendars, things like that. So, I would say get involved in those groups, ask as many questions as you can, listen to this podcast, listen to other podcasts that are out there, and just try to make your life easier. Learn from other people's mistakes so that you don't make the same ones and keep hitting the same roadblocks over and over again.
Love it. Yeah, those are some really good tips. I especially like, not taking on too much, and any one improvement that you make in any one area, whether it's enhancing the career page or how you lay out job postings, or leaning in more to Glassdoor and Indeed and managing your employer reputation more, all those pieces are going to create a lift. So let's talk about the other side for our last question here. What would you say to the marketing manager who wants to be more included with employer branding efforts?
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly just kind of say the same thing, but add a couple more caveats to it. So being in marketing, going back to the beginning of the episode, you want to make sure that you have a direct line of communication with HR, with TA, your HR VPs, etc., so that you understand what the business needs are. Your background, your marketing mindset will be incredibly helpful to you, because a lot of the tactics that we use in employer brand are the exact same in marketing. It's just putting out content for a different audience. So you want to try to understand who your target audience is, and then deliver content that they want to see, and make sure that it's consistent with your brand and with whatever you want to put out there. So it's there's so much collaboration and communication that goes into it. So just make sure that you set up those relationships and you develop trust, so that there's no speed bumps in the future.
I love when our episodes end with this symmetry, where we have a concept at the beginning and then at the end we touch on it again. Collaborating, it doesn't have to just be owned by one department. It's every piece can help strengthen that employer brand, the marketing, the HR, and having an actual person for employer branding. And I just thank you so much for all of your comments and insights, Rob. It's been so great having you on our episode today. And we will include resources like even just a link to Canva and the other resources that you mentioned, as well as DoiT and your LinkedIn profile at the bottom of our highlight article. And thank you so much for being on our podcast today. Thanks to our listeners, and hope you can subscribe and see our future episodes.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a genuine pleasure to be on here today. Anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, please feel free to do so. Always happy to have a chat. And yeah, thank you so much. This was a great experience.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Culture Profit podcast and for being a part of our journey to prove that putting people first is best for business.
Today's episode was sponsored by Mobrium.
Want to get more employee reviews and streamline your employer reputation? Visit mobrium.com.
Now go find one way to prioritize your people and watch your profits grow.